Oh, Kamran has become presenter right now. Maybe it's a mistake. Hello, Vishal. Can you just put me as a presenter? Hello. Hello. Yeah, hello, Sudhindra. Can you just put me as a presenter because wrongly he put Kamran as a presenter here. That's why.
Okay. Yeah, I will.
Yeah, please. Okay.
Why is they're connecting you as a presenter? I have a question. So we are
Yeah,
doing
please.
SAP HANA, and what
Right.
is SAP HANA S4? Is it like a new version of that? It's the same thing or a different thing?
Sir, can I share? Sir, can I share her answer?
What do you want to share?
So what she asked about S4 HANA.
Oh, yeah. Please, sir, please.
Yeah, well, basically S4 HANA is basically SAP Phi and Co, which is the old supported by ECC6. But now SAP is supported by HANA. HANA is basically the server for the SAP where all the data is stored, and you can see the live activities over there, and its capacity is 10,000 times for speed is more because the structure is based on the RAM base. And if you go for the implementation side, so 80% is same as the configuration and implementation is in Phi and Co supported by ECC6. You will find the same in S4 HANA. Only two things are changed. One is the concept of new asset and other is profitability reporting. Otherwise, everything is same. Only the difference is that S4 is the replacement of Phi and Co, which will be supported by HANA. HANA is itself the server. That's it.
Oh, why you are doing this? You know that. Thank you.
No problem. If you want more the comparison of S4 HANA and EC6, I can email you the material that have the comparative analysis. Basically, I have to give this paper for the certification, and still I have completed every training for S4 HANA supported by HANA.
So you are giving the certification exam. Do
Yeah.
for this when you apply for the certification, do they ask for any course completion certification or that you have completed
No,
course or this much spent this much hours?
no.
No. Okay.
Actually, if you are writing from India, they ask so many questions. But if you are taking the certification from America, they will not ask anything.
Now here also for some like there are some requirements also. Some courses, there are some courses. If you enroll for a certification exam for that, they ask for you a course completion certificate from a certified vendor that you have completed this course and you have spent it at least this much hours in studying for the exam. So I mean I was not
Okay.
sure about this if they ask for this and also.
No, they will not ask if you are right, if you are taking the exam from America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can just register. Yeah, you can actually go to the SAP portal and book an exam.
Yeah, actually there is one more
From,
this is private testing center. It is very close to my house, Pearson View. They have a lot of centers. They are also like uh, the SAP has they are SAP authorized test centers.
Mhm.
So I mean, and they have like more centers. And SAP has like some very like limited test centers. Then you have to go there. They don't have any in New Jersey. So if I have to go to SAP, I have to go to New York to take the test. But if I go through this private vendor, Pearson View, they have like couple of test centers in New Jersey, so I can just book through them and go and take the test.
Have you given the Phi and
Okay.
Co?
I did that FI certification. I still have to do that CO certification.
Okay, I have done the Phi and Co certification.
Yeah, very good.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah. But actually, in India, if you want to take the examination, there is something called a criteria. You have to fulfill that. You should be experienced in at least 2 implementations, 3 years, and then you'll have to provide that experience, and then the company should be obviously having an SAP license. So that company should actually sponsor you for the examination. So there is
mhm.
some process here. They made it tough here because, Indian factor. Otherwise, so many people are just taking the examination. So they filter here just by looking at the criteria that they push you to choose. But
Yeah,
anyway, that is
but
yeah.
if you go to the SAP website, they specifically have written there specifically that if you are going for an associate certification, you should have at least 2 implementation and this and
Correct.
that.
Correct.
So, but for when I booked for this FI certification, I mean, someone else did it for me. So I didn't even know what they asked, but I just went there and take the certification test. So
Okay.
this,
Yeah.
yeah, after
I
this,
got it.
taking this HANA, I will go for this certification.
Yeah.
This HANA certification is just like, I was checking online last night. So it says
Mm.
HANA, and then there is H4 HANA also.
Yeah. I mean, yes, for HANA, I think so far you have two modules, simple finance and simple logistics. But right now, our Kamran is a simple finance expert.
Mm-hmm.
So,
There's a lot,
yeah,
yes.
he's trying on that. Yeah, Kamran is a simple finance expert. And then, say, Kamranji, can you also share me that material? Actually, I'm curious to see because I'm not S4 HANA expert. I'm just a HANA expert. You know.
Sir, you not worry. I will share you whatever I have because my
Okay.
teacher was very nice. Was from Pune and the institute was in Bangalore. But the guy was very excellent. He gave me excellent recording as well as material for the study. But honestly speaking, I will need the help for pass the exam because I already
No,
have
no,
some.
that I will. You can call me today or tomorrow. I mean, in the evening timings. My number is working. I'll tell you. There is some way here in India you can get help for
Sir,
the examination.
sir,
That's okay.
sir, basically one person has sent me the URL and I purchased the paper in
No, no,
$3,000.
no, 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 no. That doesn't work. The
Sir,
examinations. You mean you can only guidance, but in India there are some companies.
yes,
They will give you a sort of dump the dump would be 90%, 80% accurate dumps. You just have to purchase from them. You know, these hypergraph companies, you know, right? They do everything. If you want to take that way, but I don't recommend you to go to that way. If you want it, I can connect with them.
Sir, trust me that I paid 300 US dollar, and whatever the question paper they gave me, only one question came from there, and I paid 300 US dollar for paper and 850 US dollar for certification exam and $700 for trading. So now I need the help because I
That's
have to
a lot of money, huh? So
Sorry?
you are in
Okay.
US, comrade?
This way?
You are in USA?
No, in Canada.
In Canada, okay.
So if you want, I will share with you all the stuff which
I just wrote my email address there.
sure, no problem. You email me at alvi250@gmail.com, alvi250@gmail.com.
ALVI, okay.
Sir, please kindly help me out in this regard.
No, I will help you. I have some company who does this in Hyderabad. Let me just talk to you. Yeah, you know, I can do that. Yeah, sure.
Have your cell phone been fixed now?
Which one? The server, right? No, I don't think so. What? I will go through my server. I don't think you did. You get any, you know, credentials to log on to the server? By email from the.
Oh God, I forwarded that email to you. Did you try to connect with that? It's not working.
Yeah,
Exactly. Same thing. It is working now.
No, it's
No,
not
sir.
working. And I sent them an email, and I just sent in the chat. I sent a text to Vishal also that it is not working.
Yeah, please, Kamran and Arun, please send them a text again that it should work because I'm using somebody else, you know, system here. This one, as you see right now, I logged on to the remote system here. It is better that we have our own. Sorry?
Sir, your cell phone has been fixed now?
No,
Your cell
sir.
phone
This
has
is somebody else. Oh, yeah, my cell phone. My mobile is ready. Yeah, you can call me anytime, sir. It was fixed last night, yes.
Sure, thank you.
I just changed the carrier, yeah. I just moved to some other carrier with the same number, so that's why I had less trouble. So that's fine.
So after I will give you a call.
Yeah, you can give me calls at any time, sure. And this is the, yeah, just a quick recap. We were discussing yesterday about, you know, so many things. Okay, this one is anyway a little bit about S4 HANA. I try to put it, you know, you can just see also, I put the slides in the online. But anyway, I hope I'm getting good material from Kamran. Let us see what he'll send me as material. But that is something S4 HANA. Yeah, that our criteria right now is HANA, yeah, SAP HANA first. But we try to learn a little bit more about S4 HANA also from Kamran only anyway.
Yeah. My pleasure.
Yeah. So it was, we were actually discussing about multidimensional objects. So we have two-dimensional objects and we have multidimensional objects in our modeling. So there's a big difference in between these. Yeah. We have seen actually how they are structured and how they look like. And for example, what we have to do in order to traverse through these inside the objects, because unlike two-dimensional objects, multidimensional objects are complex. So we need an approach to traverse through inside the object. The approach would be, we call it as operations, OLAP operations. These are actually OLTP based objects, OLTP system based objects, and these are OLEP system based objects, yeah. But the quite interesting thing is, in SAP HANA we have both, yeah. That's why we have to learn. So SAP HANA from 2013 onwards, it is, of course, right now, let me just tell you SAP HANA evolution, how, it was into the market. SAP HANA was into the market in the year 2011, November, right? Am I correct? Please correct me. That time it was started with SAP HANA 1.0 and SPS, 1, it goes to SPS 2, SPS 3, so on and so forth. Right now we are at SPS 12. You know this? Right now, what they did was SAP HANA 1.0 SPS 12. I think they are planning to make it as, SAP HANA 2.0. This is the thing right now. Every 6 months they release SPS. SAP HANA does it every 6 months. SPS is support pack stack. It is like a service pack only. So they have all the enhancements. So they have other releases also to fix the regular patches and all that. But the main enhancements done through the SPS numbers. So we have all these SPS in the last 4 years, right from 2011. The most of the implementations of HANA you're seeing in the industry 2013 onwards, because that's where this concept has come right now. The concept that I'm showing you, you can mix both these things. And so now, what is the fundamental difference here in terms of two-dimensional, multi-dimensional objects? We have seen all that. So let us just see the system. Can you hear me? Hello? I just lost the audio and again it came back. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now. I know that we lost the audio, so.
Yeah. So any questions on this multidimensional objects that I spoke to you yesterday?
It was
Can
clear.
I go into the clear? Okay, nice. So the same thing, we will look into the SAP HANA, terminology, how we actually make these, what until now, until now we only spoke about the in general two-dimensional objects and multi-dimensional objects. Of course, we have to get into SAP HANA right now and then see the SAP HANA terminology and how actually we do the same thing. Let me just get into this. Right now, we are talking about SAP HANA modeling. It is nothing but creating information views. We spoke about the differences between the typical tables and information views. We have to be very clear on that because the process of information views creation, the process of creating information views is going to be the whole HANA modeling itself. So we have to understand that. So basically, We have several types of these information views that are needs to be created inside the modeling. The content, the data is of two types in the modeling, which is attribute and measure. I think I was just telling you yesterday, if it is a two-dimensional object, this one is a two-dimensional object. If it is a two-dimensional view, it has only attributes, this table. Everything looks like a table. The view is a table, right? It looks like a table. So this has attributes, only attributes. But if it is a multi-dimensional view, this also looks like table. Yesterday I showed you, but it has a depth. It has dimensions. Because from the fact table, it is collecting the dimensions. You have facts and dimensions, right? In the star schema, multi-dimensional model at least has to be a star schema. It's not the, extended star schema or snowflake or constellation or whatever the complex is the other side. But the minimum side is at least a star schema. So this one is a multi-dimensional view. Here, the same way, if you look at this view, we actually have two things here. One is attributes, of course. The other one is we also have measures. So there are two types of things here, which means the column you're seeing here, every column has to be either an attribute or a measure. And here, in two-dimensional views, we do not have the classification. I think you remember this ER modeling, the views that we work with the Oracle and SQL Server, or even in HANA, the two-dimensional views. We just have attributes. Every column is an attribute. This is an attribute, this is an attribute, this is an attribute. So we do not have in specific measures. Even though we have it, but we don't call it as a measure, it's just attribute. We do not classify them. But here, there is a need to classify it because this is an analysis platform. We are into analyzing the data aspects right now here in MD, multi-dimensional views. So here, we have two types, attributes and measures. And then immediate question is what is the difference and how can we differentiate and how can we create differently them and all that. So all those things we'll be seeing it. And what is the difference between attribute and yeah, that's a question right now we have to see. So the difference is you have to be very clear here because you will face this throughout your modeling experience. I mean in modeling, the whole modeling process, you will see this clear difference. You should know it by just looking at whether it is an attribute or it is a measure. So how can you differentiate it? Can you tell me? I think you must have got the idea by now.
The attributes, like those are fixed, we don't change them. And the measurement are the fields that we can change. Like if we make a table, all the things, those are there in the header of the table, like the vendor table, vendor name, vendor address, vendor ID. Those are the
Okay.
And then we feed data in there. That is measurement.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. That's actually fine definition. But you're saying cannot be changed. Probably we have to put it in a different way. Maybe we should not say that cannot be changed because we are in the view right now. This is not a physical table. This is not a master table. This is not a transactional table. This is a view itself. So we are taking a snapshot of the table. So view means you can do anything. You can change anything. You can cook anything. You can actually make the number of columns that you want. You don't have to stick to the original table. The whole things you don't have to take as it is. So I think in terms of changing, we can change it, but what is the main difference here is it's a characteristic. Attribute is something that, it talks about, it is something that you cannot measure it, because that's why we have a different aspect other than the attribute is measured. So obviously attribute is non-measurable. Measurable is something that we have as a measure. Non-measurable is something that we have as an attribute. So measurable means we always come up with the numbers, like something quantifiable. And that is the main difference. But when you look at any table, there are two ways. We could be knowing the table by making it as a cube, obviously, because the multidimensional object is deriving from the cube. And we know the depth. On the other hand, if you just look at, directly from the other side, from the front-end side, we assume that we do not see the process of creating the cube. We just see the contents. Even by looking at the contents, we can still gauge it whether this particular one is an attribute or measure. But sometimes it is not easy, Sometimes, for example, if I ask you salary is an attribute or a measure?
Attribute.
Yes. One could be correct, but sometimes we might think that salary is something that's measurable, is a measure. No. Sometimes, we have to stick to that because it is always a challenge when we move from two-dimensional. See, what is multidimensional objects? Obviously, we are deriving it from the two-dimensional objects. We are actually moving into multidimensional modeling from the two-dimensional objects because we cannot go into the multidimensional unless we have the two-dimensional object study, because we build a multidimensional object with the help of two-dimensional objects, as we have seen. Because that fact table, which is a transactional table, is surrounded by all the dimensions, which are two-dimensional objects, So we make all these objects before we start doing this multidimensional. So that's why where this measure concept is introduced in the multidimensional modeling. So we have to be very careful here when we say what is measure and what is non-measure. But we'll go through this while creating the views every often, and then we'll be talking about these measures. I hope you got it, what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Okay. And right now in HANA, we have three types of attributes. See, inside the table, I'm talking about the table inside the table. Right now I'm here. Right now I'm here. I'm here right now. You see, this is the one. So in this, actually, these attributes are of three types. The simple one is there. It is derived from the data foundation. Let me show a little bit of the tool right now so that we can actually please talk to our organizers to have this credentials ready at least for the next class, Otherwise, I'm worried on this to use this system again and again. I'm just filtering this to see if there is. Right now, I wanted to expand this content. I think you remember yesterday we were discussing about the content versus the catalog. This is the main, these are two main folders that we work in the modeling. Of course, when we move on to the data migration, we work with this. And when we move on to the, data security and other things, we work on this. So these are the four main things. So right now we work more with these two because the modeling we use these two. The first one is a catalog. What the catalog contains, you remember? What catalog contains, you remember? The catalog here contains schemas, right? Further, schema contains what? physical objects which has tables. So here, this is the catalog. This is a schema. If you go inside, all these are the physical objects you have here. You have triggers, you have views, and then you have tables. This is something that we work. Here you see here the table is actually, some table looks like the column is highlighted, some tables look like the row is highlighted. As we discussed, we have two types of tables in SAP HANA, row-based tables and column-based tables. You can see the difference here by looking at the icon here. So you're there, you're following me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. And this is a package. In the package, if you go inside, you have the views, you see. You have attribute views, you have analytical views, you have calculation views. By the way, this is the project that we'll have to do that. I said Copa project, right? This is the project that we will have to go through and do that project. For that, I need your credentials right now. We'll have to talk to the training guys and get it. So the first thing is, when you create an attribute, you do like this. You right click here and then say, you see, create an attribute. We'll be doing all these. All these are the modeling artifacts. You can create a package inside the package itself, because sometimes you might require sub-packages. So inside the package, you make packages as a sub-package, obviously. So and then inside the sub-package, you will again right-click, and then you will say like this. Again, if you have another sub-package, you see in Vita, I have a Copa sub-package, I have an ATTR sub-package. So again, I can have n number of sub-packages inside the package. So, but at some point, the package should be having the modeling artifacts. So when you right-click on this, you see all these artifacts. So we will actually have to build this attribute view, analytical view, calculation view, analytical privilege, procedure, decision table. That's it. These are the modeling artifacts. We have 6 types of modeling artifacts. If we learn this, our modeling is over. Just 6 types. But the point is, the fact that all these modeling artifacts combine together in the process of, creating a solution for your business requirement makes it complex. So in the real time, we will have complex models, because it's not just simple one view, it is a combination of several views. It looks like a flow graph. In the flow graph, you will have n number of nodes. The nodes could be 10 nodes, 5 nodes, 6 nodes, 15 nodes, 20 nodes. So each node could be, your modeling artifact, any of this. So the requirement is like that. So we go step by step. Right now, I'm talking about, if I say attribute view, you just click the new one. And then if you say attribute underscore, anything, the first one, we say, the label is something that you can actually write description, text. It describes, it says something if you want to say, this is not important. And here you have standard, time, and derived. We'll be discussing that. But for the moment, I want to show you what is the main look of this modeling artifact in the beginning, designing time. You see, the look will be like this. Mm-hmm. It just comes data foundation and semantics. So there's something called data foundation, where you drag and drop your tables here. See, how can you take the table structures while you are implementing the views? Obviously, you have to contact the tables, right? So those tables you have to bring here. What happens is you work on these tables. You will be actually chopping the table vertically, horizontally to suit your business requirement while you're making the dimension. This is the process. In that process, That's why here, why I showed this is now, we'll be doing all this, but for the moment you should know what is data foundation. Data foundation is something that you actually bring your physical tables and add it here. But the physical tables won't be completely coming into this. The structures of the physical tables only coming into this while you actually design this at the design time. Because you're only working on the structures. The view is nothing but a structure, right? So the view is like this. I think I'll just put to you like this. You remember this process?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have a quick question. You said we can
Please.
just drag it any table there. So if we have a table in Excel, can we drag it just there and it's gonna be uploaded there? Or it has to come from the same server.
If you have a table, what again? Can you just ask me again?
I have a table in, suppose I made a table in Excel. Can I bring it here?
Excel, interesting question. Obviously, you can bring it. For that, I have to, cover these topics here. You have something called import here.
Okay.
You can go here. We'll be seeing all that. We'll be seeing. You see data from local file.
Okay, good.
You go here. I'll be covering all this.
Okay.
You can do that. You can do that also, obviously.
Okay. And when you were said that when we created schema, like we went to get and created a new attribute, there was an option delete. If by mistake I deleted something, it is going to be deleted permanently, or we can still recover it?
You mean the information viewers?
Yes.
Some of the things you cannot delete also here. Some of the things, obviously, those are the administrator settings, whether he will allow you to delete, and he controls everything. The database administrator controls exactly. The database administrator is the privileges. Yeah, deletion is the privilege. Insertion is the privilege. Creation is a privilege. Anything is a privilege here. So it all are done. Of course, everything is possible here, but the data administrator does it for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So here in the data foundation, let's say if I drag and drop this table here, what happens is the table comes here. You see, which means the structure. I see the whole structure is here. You can actually work on the structure by saying, I want to, maybe you have here 200 plus columns, but you may not be requiring all these columns. You only require just 5 columns, 10 columns. So what you do is you chart them off. You actually, vertically, you are actually charting the table off. And then if you use the filter, horizontally also you are charting it off. Let's say you have 5 countries data in this, but you only want 4 countries data. So you are actually filtering one country off. So that means horizontal charting, I would call it as. If you have 200 plus columns, you only want 10 columns, you are actually vertically charting all that you do here, because you're working on the structure and you're working for a requirement. So this is a view, creation of a view is like that. How the creation happens is like this. The first step is creation. The second step is save. The third step is activate. The fourth is use. So these are the 4 steps when you want to, make your modeling artifact.
Okay.
So here, very interesting thing is activation. What happens here? Any idea? I think you're getting my point. When I'm trying to make modeling artifact information view, so I'll be going through these stages. I will create it. I will save it. I will activate it. Of course, after that, I'll just use it, isn't it? So, what do you think it will happen in the activation here? Any wild guess?
No, I don't.
Okay. Yeah, the creation is something that we just take the structures, XML file will be created, and then saving, it saves it for the next further. The same thing is saved here. As a structure, it is saved. But it is not brought onto the repository. It's just saved as a structure in the system. But here, the object is created inside the repository. The object name is here, empty container. I'm just calling it for our sake because to understand it more better. And here, when you use it, it becomes full container. You just go and pick it up the data. And then after this, again, it becomes empty container. So information views are like that, yeah. They don't have any data inside the view. Even after the activation, they will not have the data. When you use, at that time, on the fly, the view has to contact the physical tables and then get it filled to make it as a full container. That full container will be serving your reporting technology. So it will have all the data in the full container. In that full container, we require various operations to traverse through. We try to learn traversing, for example, drill down, roll up. All this we should be doing. We'll be doing that not necessarily in the full container. We'll be doing in more than one view, 2, 3 views, 4, 5 views, combining, connected together would be your business requirement solution. So that time we do that traversing through only when we use the container. After that, immediately after querying, so it becomes just empty container. You got this right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that process here we will see. So right now I'm talking about the data foundation. Why I've come here, I'll come again, we'll be doing all these views, but at the moment you have to understand this data foundation. Data foundation is something that it is a node. You have to remember, this one is one node, this one is another node. You have only 2 nodes here because this is a simple two-dimensional structure, two-dimensional object, two-dimensional information view right now that you're trying to create. It has only 2 nodes. One is the data foundation where you just bring your physical tables on top of this to actually work with the structures of the tables. You might take your required structures. You may not be looking at all the structures that are available out there. So your objective is to attend to your requirement. So you would be making your own required view with the help of this. And then just the semantics is the final node. For every view, the final node is semantics. For every view that would make, for example, analytical view calculations and everything, all the views will have semantics as the final node. But there are other nodes that will be coming up here for the other views. But right now, for the simple two-dimensional view, you only have the data foundation. So that's why I came here, because you should understand the data foundation. You are experiencing some difficulties. Are you able to hear me now? It says here some problem with the audio. That's why. So right now, I have here 3 types of attributes. And one is, it is derived from the data foundation, simple attribute. I'm talking about the whole attribute is this one. This one. Attribute is nothing but this one is one attribute. This one is the other attribute.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is, because don't get confused, attribute view is different, attribute inside the view is different, isn't it? This one could be measure, this one could be measure. So I'm talking about that aspect, attribute which is inside the views. We're talking about it. That is of 3 types. It is derived from the data foundation, which means in the data foundation here you see these are the things, right? They're coming from there. If it is coming It's a simple attribute. But whereas if it is not directly coming from the data foundation, what you're doing is you're trying to do some arithmetic operations. For example, you have first name as a simple attribute and the last name as a simple attribute. Sometimes you might want to full name as a concatenation of first name and last name, which is actually a calculated attribute. It's not simple one. It's just derived one. You derived it. You calculated it. But again, you can say arithmetic operations not limited to measures. You're also doing it on the attribute. Something that you have to make a note of it here, because sometimes we think that arithmetic operations are only for the measures. No, this is, for example, could be an arithmetic operation. You're actually bringing two names as a full name, the first name and the last name. That is also kind of arithmetic operation, arithmetic calculation actually here. That's why we call it as a calculated attribute. So on the other hand, you have the third type of the attribute, which is when we move on to the multidimensional objects, which are analytical and calculation views, we will use this locally. Only for that particular view, we try to keep the attribute. That is called local attribute. We will see that going forward. So, yeah, like this, you have three types. And then, at the same time, the measures. Right now, we spoke about attributes. That's fine. Since we have attributes and measures inside this modeling view, inside this multidimensional modeling view, otherwise the measures won't be there. Only attributes are here in the two-dimensional objects, but we have to talk about the measures first, because they're going to come into the picture when we move on to the multidimensional objects. So measures are of how many types we're talking about here? Let's say about 4 types. So the simple measure you have, which is again the same thing. If you derive the measure from the data foundation, it is just a simple one like this. If you derive it from the data foundation, the measure comes from this place. It's just a simple one, so you call it as simple. But the same way, if you are actually making that measure with the help of arithmetic operations, so that is something that which means you are calculating something. This measure is a quantifiable, so they call it calculated measure here. So that means, for example, you have the gross revenue is a simple measure, which is coming from the data foundation. You might need to calculate the net revenue. The net revenue is going to be gross revenue minus sales deduction, or some formula you use it, which means you're actually, deriving it. It's not a simple one. It is a calculated one, which is a calculated measure. And then you have some other one, because all these things you have to, get to these concepts. Because these are something that which will help you in your modeling scenarios. These are something that which will help you to fulfill your business requirement, to attend to your business parameters. The idea is we would be creating these business parameters while implementation a solution for any specific business requirement. So these things we have to learn. There's something called restricted measure, the third one. So what is it? It is actually, the difference would be, if I want to filter something based on the attribute, but the filtration will happen in the measure. That is called restricted measure. Remember, the filtration is happening on the measure, but based on the attribute. That is also possible, So that is something that restricted measures. For example, my measure is here. Let's say the gross revenue. I have my attribute here is the countries. Country column is an attribute. So I have so many countries. Assume that I have 10 countries in my business, data. So when I wanted to look at the gross revenue, I say I want gross revenue of USA. So I'm restricting the countries into the USA, but I'm applying that into the measure. So I want the gross revenue aspect by filtering the country column, which is an attribute. So that is the restricted measure, for example. We'll be seeing many of this anyway. Even if you have some, kind of doubts or something on this, all will be clarified while we are doing this modeling artifact practically. Hands-on will be giving you more clearance this aspect. But of course, we'll be doing the project COPA, and that we have all these things to be implementation. And then implementation, we have all this. We have to create all this. So the count is something that it will actually count the unique number of attributes inside the particular column. That is something that counts, because let's say in the country, in the particular view, the country, let's say US, Germany, and other things, they might be repeating it. As in the records, the US will be coming up in the 5 records, the Germany is coming probably in the 10 records, and then France is coming up in 20 records, so on and so forth. But actually, if you look at that particular column, which is the country, at any time, if you want to find out how many number of unique countries that I have, that means you have to contact counter, it will give you. You know. Any questions up to this?
No, it looks clear to me
Yeah.
as of now.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So we'll be doing all this inside this modeling. Once we get into this, you'll be seeing all that. So this is the idea. I try to put the same slide here with more, side by side, so that we can just see the differences here. You can go through this. I put these slides in the materials. So just take example. I try to do the same thing. Just now I spoke to you. I described here with another slide. And well, now you should actually get into the, just a moment. So let us just talk about SAP HANA modeling terminology, because we are into it right now. So we require every technology has its own terminology. There are in general aspects that we talk, general subject-wise, theory-wise, but when it comes to learning particular technology, they have their own names to to define something. So they have their own way of calling things. So right now we're talking about we know this data, views, and procedures, privileges, and all that. So first of all, the SAP HANA mentions 3 types of views here. Views are nothing but information views, information models, data models, all could be the same. But here we call it as views, information views. Attribute view we have, that is something that we'll be seeing it. Analytical view, calculation view. So again, once again, I'm just trying to give you, the picture. Attribute view is nothing but dimension, we call it as, which is a 2-dimensional object. So it's basically, we make this view from the physical tables, which are master tables and the transaction tables, by joining them. Not only just join them, we try to actually, take the necessary attributes only, necessary columns into our attribute view. We may not be taking all, we will be doing all the plumbing here, for example, the chopping horizontally, chopping it out vertically, all that, but end of the day, it's just the join views. You'll be only dealing with the tables, physical tables, which are transaction tables, and which are, master tables. Mostly in the attribute view, technically, you remember, we only deal with the master tables. The transaction tables will come into the picture in analytical views. Please remember that. So technically, the master tables are being joined to create a required view. So that is nothing but a 2-dimensional view. We call it as a dimension. And then we have something called analytical view, which is a cube here. I think you remember yesterday when I explained to you the cube. It looks like a table, but it has a depth. It has multi-dimensional objects. It has multi-dimensions. The dimensions could be 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions, 4 dimensions. So based on the the schema, how you're defining the star schema, you actually have this depth inside the cube. So we call this also as overlap views inside the SAP HANA terminology. So it's the same, one and the same. If somebody says cube or overlap view, it's the same here in SAP HANA terminology. And we have something called calculation views, which is multi-provider in in BW, if you are working with a BW, this is similar with that. Calculation view is something that which is more complex, which is more, depth, which has, it is a multi-level, multi-dimensional object. We'll be seeing this. We'll be seeing all the types of calculation views. You'll get to know that. Here, calculation view, you can switch to the script-based also. Until now, you are actually talking about graphical user interface-based views, but here we have a choice because sometimes the GUI-based modeling creation may not be a real solution for us. We might need to, get into the script-based views because sometimes we require that. For that, they also offer script-based calculation views, which means we have two choices here. You can actually write script for that, or you can actually do the calculation view by using GUI. And then we have something called functions, the same way that you have the functions in the other programming languages that we will be seeing it. And then we have something called analytical privilege. This is a security check. We'll see this. So this is HANA terminology talks this way. And let us just create an attribute here. We're good to go that. Until here, we will not be creating. This is the place where we create attribute here. So still, let us just try to understand more of it. So what is attribute view? Right now, SAP HANA attribute view, we are into that. We actually moved from the attributes and measures points into the attribute view itself. Those two are different, right? So what did you understand about attribute view? I don't know, just tell me. I try to put points here and then I will go back here and conclude. You there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. This is basically derived from master data tables, right?
Yes.
And this is just a join view, right? So I've given so many points here. You can actually see that here. Attribute view acts like a dimension. That's fair enough because it is a dimension. In the dimensional modeling, it joins multiple master data objects and projects only required columns. Yes, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say here. For example, if you have two tables, this table is like this, with 10 columns table. Yeah, and then we could be having another table this side. Let's say 4 columns table. When you join them, obviously, So in the attribute view, how many columns? Output.
14.
Output.
14 columns.
No, sir, that's what I'm trying to say here. The output is an attribute view if you're talking about an attribute view. Here, you may not take all the columns.
Okay.
It is just based on the requirement. Yeah, exactly. So what happens is you are actually trying to create a snapshot, a view of the existing tables by joining them. Obviously, you may not want all the columns here into the output. You may want also, but mostly you do not want it. You might want 2 columns from here and 1 column from here. That means that the attribute you will have 3 columns here. It's possible, isn't it?
Okay.
It's possible. That's what I'm just saying. Yeah. Because Your query is not dealing with that. Your requirement is not dealing with that. So to do that, to extract 2 columns from here and 1 column from here, obviously you require no other way, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the only way you do it. But you actually chop this vertically, like this. You do vertical chopping.
Okay.
Vertical chop, and then you do also horizontal chopping. You also cut down here. You may not want this, This one is a horizontal chopping. Yeah. So your target is you would be requiring only this. This is the one that you are taking it. This is the one that you are taking it.
Okay.
So at the same time, here also you do. So what happens here is, remember, this is just, we are working with the structures. Maybe you are taking only a portion of this. This one is this, and this one is this. So with the help of this join. The join could be so many types of join. Again, what type of join you use here? How do you know what type of join you have to use?
This is inner join.
How do you know that you have to use inner join? We have, let's say, 9 to 10 varieties of joins.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is also again business requirement.
Okay.
Your business requirements is.
I just guessed it because we just sort out a few fields from those 2 tables, so that's why I said inner join.
Yeah, that's okay. It could be inner join, it could be left outer join, it could be right outer join, it could be differential join, it could be any join, because our target is we have a business requirement on our table. So we will be looking at that, continuously and try to fulfill that. So the fact that what makes us to get to the business parameters, makes us think about what sort of join we require here. Am I looking at, getting the combined things, or am I looking at, getting only the, referentially depending things, or am I looking at all the left side things, left side table things which are having the values of the right side, or what I'm looking actually? That makes me choose what type of join that I want to,
Okay.
use it here. So yeah. So the number of columns that you want to take it out, the number of rows that you want to take it out, because you're actually chopping it up here. You're actually, in technical language, it's a projection. So you're actually taking the projection of this. You're not taking the whole thing of this. You're actually projecting 3 columns here, and then you're actually taking a few of the rows only. Let's say 5 countries rows, but whereas this table has probably 10 countries rows. You don't want it. So 5 countries, you are chopping it up horizontally in the rows, and then vertically the whole attribute itself we are removing here. For example, I have something called tax, sales tax here. I don't want it in my views. I just chop it up. I don't want the sales tax column, So that is something that my business requirement drives me. And even the type of join that I use here, my business requirement drives me. So here, attribute views, or which part we are discussing, it joins multiple master data tables and projects only required columns. So this is where I've come from. Now it is clear, right?
Okay.
All the columns, yeah. So attribute views are reusable. This is the fundamental point actually. See, all the views are reusable and easy to maintain. But the main 2 advantages of views are this. One is reusable, The other one is easy to maintain.
Okay.
Yeah, that is why we are into this actually. So what does it mean by reusable? What does it mean by reusable? What does it mean by reusable? Aruna?
Maybe we can derive another table from that table. We can use them multiple
Yeah,
times.
actually, all these attribute views are dimensions, right, which are two-dimensional objects. We will be using these two-dimensional objects inside the creation of multi-dimensional objects, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one moment, yeah, give me a break. Let me just
Yes.
come back to you. I have a comment. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm back. You there, right? Hi.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So I think Kamran, I'll be also in the session. I think he's following us, right? I don't hear anything from him, probably. Are you there, sir? Ah, okay, okay.
Sir, I am here and listening you.
Great, great, sir. Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So right now, I was asking you something. I don't know. We were talking about reusability, right? Yes. Okay. And attribute view has the following advantages. Let us see what are the advantages. Attribute view acts as master data context in dimensional modeling. Sorry, please.
No, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was just telling you we were talking about the reusable.
Yeah, yes. See, exactly. I'm sorry. Okay, let me go back to the reusability. Okay. Assume that, I'm just making a multi-dimensional objects like this. This could be our star schema, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all these are, attribute views. This one, and this one also attribute view.
Mm-hmm.
All this one is attribute view. Yeah. So now, this is, let's say, the analytical view 1. This particular one is,
Okay.
the whole one is, yeah, exactly. It'll have some name, right? Analytical view A.
Mm-hmm.
So if I am making analytical view B in some other context, the same attribute view I can plug in, right? That's for reusability. You know, this attribute view can be plugged in into any type of multidimensional objects that you make. You just call it if you want it. That is how the whole modeling works. You know, the whole modeling works like this. It's like we have the building blocks, like we have the bricks. So we use the bricks to construct a, you know, the room, and then we construct the whole floor, and then we construct the whole building the same way. It's just, you know, we take this attribute view, we plug in, because it is just a view. It is just a structure. Whenever we want that particular functionality to be fulfilled, let's say here the customer is an attribute view. We just make it only one time, the customer view, with the master data, with the master customer data. So the moment we have the customer view ready, which is activated and readily tested, that's all. We just call the customer view whenever we make any other multidimensional modeling. Because it is there for us, we can just take it, we can just call and put it here because it is just a view. It is a structure, we call the structure and attach here. That is something that is reusable, you know.
Okay.
That is something that is reusable. That is the main advantage in the modeling, right? That is why we go into the modeling. The main two reasons why we go to the modeling is these two. Otherwise, we can actually work on, you know, to contact the master data, transaction data tables directly to make a report on top of it. But no, that is very complex. Sometimes we cannot also. So the only best way is go step by step. Make smaller building blocks, and then, you know, target to make little bigger building blocks, and then from there we arrive to a complex building block, which will be a solution for the whole business requirement that we have on the table, you know. So I'm talking about advantages, right?
Yes.
SAP HANA has advantages, it says. I'm sorry, attribute view has following advantages. So attribute view acts as a master data context in dimensional modeling. We know that because it's just the master data anyway. It is derived from the master data, so it just acts as a master data. Even though it is a view, it gets the master data while you actually use that view. It will become a full container while you use it. So you are dealing with the master data. Your attribute views are dealing with the master data. Because the full container becomes here, because this particular view is a view as long as you just, you know, plug into your another dimensional view. But when you actually use it, this view becomes full container. Actually, it comes with the data, right? It is filled with the data. It is no longer an empty structure. So that data is nothing but master data. That's what he's trying to emphasize. And an attribute view can be reused in analytical views and calculations. I think this is what we spoke, isn't it? And attribute views used to select subset of columns and rows from the database table. That's what we are talking about, vertical shopping and horizontal shopping. So we did not go into the complete set. It could be a subset. We did not go into the whole set. Attribute fields can be calculated from multiple tables, right? See here, before we had this, you know, this one. Here, we are coming with the three fields right here, right here. Let's say three fields. Field is here like a column. And then in that, we might be taking one column from here, one column. The other column, we might be deriving, we might be working on these several columns here to just derive one column. It is possible, right?
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's what he's saying. Obviously, it is not, it may not be a straightforward field. Could be out of three, two are straightforward fields that we get from one from here, one from here. But the other one, we are actually making some logic, some arithmetic logic, bringing between a couple of columns in here and here to actually conclude here. So it is like that also inside the attribute view. That's what he's trying to say here. And yeah, that makes sense, right?
Yes.
Okay. So attribute view does not have measure and aggregation options. This is something that you have to make a note of it. We know that it is a two-dimensional object. We know that It does not have measures. It only has attributes. Every column is, we call it as an attribute in the two-dimensional. Of course, the whole view is an attribute view, and then every column is just an attribute inside. It does not have measures. You'll be having measures once we move on to the multidimensional objects. Right now, we are still in the two-dimensional object. So, and aggregation option also not available because aggregation does not apply to something which is not measurable, something which is non-measurable, isn't it? Here we're talking about attributes or characteristics. So there's no point of talking aggregations here. And then attribute views are 3 types. Okay, we will see that. So the idea of attribute is, I think you have this from the picture. I try to put it like, you have the tables here. There are these tables. Of course, one more point I want to tell you is, we do the modeling only on top of the column tables, column-based tables. You know, we cannot do modeling on row-based table. Why? Any idea why? Why SAP HANA did like that? I think you have the answer. We have discussed earlier the advantages of column-based tables and the purpose of having the column-based tables rather than the having row-based tables. We spoke about it. That's why SAP HANA emphasizes we cannot do modeling on top of row-based tables. They just keep the column-based tables inside the modeling. Please.
So because SAP data is basically arranged in column form in server.
No, sir, I cannot hear you, sir.
Sir, I think that in SAP HANA data is arranged in column form.
No, in SAP HANA we have both forms. Column forms are there, row form is also there. I explained to you, no? It supports both. You see here in the example also in the directly I can show in the tools also. You see the symbol here. This is the column-based tables, and you see here the row is highlighted. These are the row-based tables. These are the column-based tables. As you can see the icon, the picture. Actually, SAP HANA supports both. We spoke about it, I think, Aruna, isn't it?
Yes.
It supports both. But for the modeling, here the emphasis is modeling can be done only on column-based tables. It is very clear they made it. My question is why? Because I think we discussed earlier about...
I know that you discussed that, it's just I don't remember that.
Exactly, yeah, okay. I think you remember that we discussed. Okay, nice. See, actually, I was talking about, you know, a row-based table versus column-based table. Here, what happens is, in the row-based table, we have here, obviously, it is good for insert, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Delete, and update also, right? Update is nothing but insert, yeah. And it is good for if you have, you know, what is good for a row-based and column-based? We discussed that, right? That is something that you have to recall right now.
Mm-hmm.
This one is good for retrieval. And this one is good for what else? This one is good for when you actually, you know, less number of rows, less number of columns, sorry, less number of records. Transactions, daily based transactions. This one is actually good for analysis.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this one is actually here. I think if we talk about the OLTP systems, mostly it is row based. But if you talk about OLAP system, it is actually row plus column also. But mostly the highlight is here, the column, because column makes us easy and simple to conduct analysis.
Faster connect, faster analysis.
Yeah, because you can get to any column directly rather than going through the row. You know, see, the column is very simple. When you conduct analysis, what we try to do is we try to actually get into the columns directly. Let's say if I want to conduct analysis of this data, what happens is in the row wise, I'll be just traversing, you know, all the rows from sequentially left to right, the first row, the second row, the third row, for which I need more effort. You know, I'm wasting my time, and then I'm wasting computer resources, and I'm dealing with the unnecessary data which I don't want, all the complications. So right now, if you have the column base, you can directly jump onto this column. You can avoid these two columns so that you don't waste your time, you don't waste the computer's time, and then you unnecessarily don't deal with the unnecessary data also. So that's why the column base, that's why here we assume that we are in the OLAP system, because when we actually conduct modeling, SAP HANA assumes that the system is still there are rows. This system also can support the transactional system, but the emphasis here is the more concentration, the focus is on the OLAP system, because you're actually trying to make a solution for your requirement, which is mostly analytical based requirement. So you're actually conducting analysis. That's why they say here only column based tables. They will allow you to create row based table, no problem, but they will not recommend it, because in SAP HANA these two are same. Create table is same as create column table. By default, this is SAP HANA. In SAP HANA it's like this, please remember this. But still, if you say create row table, it will create a row table for you. Because I've created here, you can see here row tables also. You see? Create row table will do, but they will not recommend to you. The recommendation is always for the column-based table. And by default, it is a column-based table. Unless you say system, no, create row table. Then system acts for you to create a row table. Mostly the system tables are row tables here, of course. But mostly the transaction tables, the small, the daily based, the less number of record table if you want it. But if you are bringing the table into the analysis, you know, do not do that as a row-based table, because you cannot. Basically, your analysis does not support row-based tables. It will expect you to have a column-based table. Fine, right? Okay, so that's what it is, attribute views, and then we just see the types of attribute views right now we have. The types we have here is the standard, derived, time, and derived. I think while we created, we have seen the types. Type means like this, when we do and create here, what happens is we see the types here. You see? Actually subtypes, yeah, subtypes of the attribute view, but of course it is a type. Based on the subtype, you say that it is of that type. I have a standard attribute view, I have a time attribute view, and I have a derived attribute view. So let us learn first, before we go on and creating, let us learn about all these three types, isn't it? Yeah, so what is a standard attribute view? I think you can explain me so that it will be more, you know, easy for you to create in the next stage. The standard type is just it is a standard one while we create by using the master data tables. We just say the standard one, it gets this position, this one. And then we just bring our master data tables here, drag and drop, or you can actually drag and drop here, like this I showed you before, or you can actually click this plus and type the table that you want. And then the table comes. And then you see the owner of the table next to that. Owner means here the schema. For example, this schema is from Mom, this is from Rajula, this is from Madhu, 1, 2, 3. So based on your privileges, which owner is having your privileges, or you could be your own table's owner, you might be having your own schema. You just choose it and click OK. So what happens is that table comes here. Or you can just go here, drag and drop here, anything you can do. You're actually bringing that particular table. You see two tables I brought it here next to each other. How do you relate them? You require a join. After that, you do the vertical chopping. You do the horizontal chopping. You only take the required columns into the output, which is actually the view itself while you're creating. Right now, the view does not contain anything. If I click this one, let's say it goes to the output. That means right now the view contains only one column. If I click this one, okay, right now the view contains 2 columns. Like that, the number of columns that you want, you will actually select it from them. But sometimes you do not want these straightforward columns. It's not the straightforward standard attribute. Sometimes you want calculated attribute. So you just have to come here and then do some, operations, arithmetic operations or something. You actually create another column with the help of existing columns here. That's how you do. Okay, that is nothing but the standard one. We'll be creating this, don't worry, but just to remember that the types here. So what is the time base? Have you ever worked with the time attributes such as calendars, such as Gregorian or fiscal calendars before? In Oracle, or what kind of calendars you have in Oracle? Predefined time data?
Time and data, but I don't remember. I did it for a long back. It's like 10 years now. I don't remember that, but I know that I did something on time. And
yeah, correct. So every technology has its own way of putting it. The same way we also have time here in SAP HANA. We have 2 types of calendars here. One is the regular calendar that we use, which is a Gregorian-based calendar. The other one is fiscal calendar, which is for the financial institutions will have their own calendar. Some they start in the December, some they start in the March. The financial fiscal year depends on the country to country. They have the financial years. See, yes. That is something that is mostly the financial institutions follow this. The other non-financial institutions, they just don't care about these calendars, but financial institutions they care about this fiscal. So they have a fiscal calendar, which is different. So in here we deal with these 2 types of calendars in the data. We will see that how it is. We will actually see all this type of time_time_ division. The standard table from the time related fixed table from the SAP HANA. We have this in our system. I'll be showing you, but essentially to understand the time is an attribute view which is following either this time or this time. Okay?
Okay.
And then the derived. Derived is something that you actually, from the existing attribute view, you try to derive. When you derive, what happens is it just opens up only in the read-only format. For example, if you want to give the copy of your attribute view to somebody, what you do is you don't want others to make any changes on top of it, because you are the owner of that particular tables, or how to work with that particular table. So tables. So what do is you just derive it. So you take a snapshot of it, but the writing aspects are freezed here. You cannot do anything. You cannot change anything after once you derive it. Just the read only. So he can just take it and use it. He can plug into any modeling artifacts that he makes, right? We're just giving it to him, one copy of it by deriving it. So that is derived. But if you do copy from, for example, copy from is different. Here, assume that, see, here I'm actually bringing the master data tables, right? You agree with me? Okay. So here, can I bring the attribute view to here? Can I create another attribute view inside the attribute view? Can
Yes,
I reuse it?
I think we can.
No. Actually, that's what I want to ask you. No. We cannot do that. Actually, they're not letting us do that. The only way to do is we actually do copy from, which means it acts like this. For example, I show you why we cannot do that.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is an attribute view. If I drag and drop, it will not agree. You see?
Okay.
It will not agree.
Mm-hmm.
Because attribute view can be only reused inside the multidimensional objects such as analytical view and calculation views. To actually make more changes on the attribute. For example, if you want to create an attribute view out of an attribute view, how do you do is you do actually copy from. What happens is, for example, I go here and create an attribute view, and then I say copy from, which means what happens is it will go into that attribute view. Say I'm copying from this, okay, customer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I say attr underscore customer copy. Let's say if I create it, what happens is it takes the whole attribute of whatever the customer, and from here you can change. That is the only way. From here you can actually add more tables
Mm-hmm.
to it, or you can just make the changes. You can remove some columns or whatever. So this is the only way to actually work on the existing attribute to enhance more or to add, to bring changes. You cannot drag and drop attribute you onto the existing attribute. No, you have to get a copy of it and then work on it.
Okay.
You got it?
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only way. Yeah, that's the only way. So, and yeah.
It looks
So,
good when you do it on the when you are doing it on the server, but I mean,
it looks good.
I send them an email because if I don't have a server access, if we have the server access after the session, I can go and actually see how it looks, what we can do there. But
Exactly. Even I want the credentials. Please, contact the training management immediately after the
I
session.
did not access it. That is why I forwarded that to you so that you can check if you can access that. It did not work, right?
No, okay, let me try. I did not try. Honestly, I tried 2 days continuously before you send. 2 days I had a problem. I complained to them. After that, honestly, I did not check that one. Let me
I
just check
just
now.
got it today, so as soon as I got it, I forwarded that to you because it was not working for me.
Okay, let me just get to that, your email. Is this one, right? Today's,
Yes.
no, this one. This one, I think. You sent me
Yes.
this one. I'm sorry. Let me just try it in front of you. Let us see if this works. This is the link, right?
That is
Not
for
this
the.
one. Where is that? The one that you sent is...
Yeah,
One moment. Let me just get your email.
it has that server access thing. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna check it again and I'll tell it. Wait a minute.
Can you forward it again?
Yes.
Let me just show you that if it is working or not. Let me make it clear. If it is working, it is good. We don't have to contact them,
Okay, let me see.
You see, he sent me a couple of times, but they did not work. That is why. Can you just forward me right away? Let me just check again.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
In front of you, I'll just check while you watch me so that we'll see what happens.
I don't know where that email went. I'm just looking for that email from them today. So,
Yeah. Correct.
yes.
So obviously, you should be having your own server access. Even I need one server access to actually prepare some of the things for you so that I don't waste while I interact with you also. I ask them also on credentials for me. Some of the examples I just work and keep it for you. And I make you work while I show you so that you can just open the same server on your computer and keep working when I'm showing here. You know, sometimes it's that way. Otherwise, it's difficult for you.
Yeah, I don't know.
You send it to me?
No, actually, I can. It was there in my email. I can't find that email. So let me see if I sent mail. Okay, I sent it to today's. Okay. It's something. Where is that? I got that email. I don't know where. Let me see if I accidentally deleted that email because I know that.
Okay. Otherwise, let me do one thing. Let me just call, this management while you watch me. Let's see. I'm making a call to him. I'll just tell you this. Let me just call him straight away and then see what he says.
మీ కాల్ మాకు చాలా విలువైనది దయచేసి లైన్ లో వేచి ఉండండి
I can connect to him right now.
Okay.
మీ కాల్ మాకు చాలా విలువైనది దయచేసి Your call is waiting. Please stay on the line.
No, I can't access them right now. He will definitely call me back. Hello, or no?
Yeah, if I find that email, I'm gonna forward that to you. You check on your end, but it's just I got so many emails that it got mixed up, so I can't find it right now. But I mean,
Yeah,
I'll
that's okay.
forward it as soon as
Yeah,
I find it. I'll forward it to you.
Please, and then if not working, make sure that you call them and then ask for that working.
I'm sorry.
If not working, make sure that you call them and ask for some ID which is working.
Yes, I'm gonna do that because they sent me a link, and it is the that
No, the link, it's not link, right? It should be IP and the credentials. You'll have an IP.
Yes, I
Both
get
them-
an IP address,
Yeah.
and there is a login username and password in that email. So let me see. I'll check it, and I'll forward it to you.
Please.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
So we're talking about, yeah. So we spoke about almost, 3 types, or rather 4 indirectly. Standard attribute view, time-based attribute view that we should be creating. And shortly, once we are into this hands-on, and we spoke about the derived and then copy from also. The copy from is something that if you want to make any changes on top of your attribute view, you can only do the copy from, and then from there you start building it. So it's like that, and yeah, well, let me just go to the next tab. So right now I have a question for you. Can't we join the tables directly to fact table instead of creating the attribute views? See here, we are actually trying to do all this, attribute views by, so yeah, here, okay, I think I don't have here. Let me just try again. We try to create analytical view like this, right? This one is a fact table. All these are dimensions. This one is dimension, and this one is dimension, and this one is dimension. You agree? So now what he's trying to ask is, I'm trying to ask you is, can't we join the tables directly to fact tables instead? Instead of creating the dimensions, why can't we bring the direct tables? Why do we have to go through the process of creating all these attribute views? Of course, we have an advantage. What is that advantage? Reusability and maintenance. I think I discussed all about this. If not, you don't need, isn't it? You can directly, actually, if you don't want these two, assume that you're not caring about the reusability and you're not caring about maintaining them easily. So you can directly go and create the your analytical view just by using master data tables here rather than dimensions. Because you can just connect 2, 3 master data tables here and then make one your own dimensions, at that time while you create your fact table, which is you're not actually making it separately to reuse it, to maintain it. You can still do that, but only the fact that it can make it reusable and the fact that it can be maintained easily, you're actually creating it first and keeping them aside. And then just plug into your multidimensional objects as and when you want to create the multidimensional objects with the help of those 2-dimensional objects, which are dimensions here. Okay?
Okay.
So this is the creation. I think we have to go through this to create right now. We have to get into hands-on. You enter the, you actually first enter the name of the attribute view. So you try to give ATTR underscore based on the type ATTR underscore customer, ATTR underscore product or something, the naming convention would be. And then you select the table basically. How do you select the table? Just like I showed you the process. You actually bring the table from here, from otherwise drag and drop this panel, this node called data foundation. You're actually building your. So if I click this, the details of the data foundation. If I click this, the details of the semantics. I see. This is a scenario. You see, in the scenario, we have the nodes. The scenario goes like a flow graph. Going forward, I'll be having more number of nodes. The nodes are connecting, and then just like flow graph. Any node I click, you get the detail of that node. And then the output. There is another thing called output. This is the output of this node, which means the input to this node. It's always like that. So when we have too many nodes, you will see that. Any node you can actually see ultimately in the analysis, what we are trying to do, We are actually, in the analysis, what we do is we actually filter the data, isn't it? To talk about the layman, words, it's just a filtering only, right? Filtering based on our business requirement. You actually keep on applying various filters in various places, keep on arriving to your required data, you're narrowing it down. So obviously you are continuously filtering the data in every node that you traverse in the modeling, because we have a huge amounts of data out there. But in the analysis, your result set is going to be a simple table or simple, one column or few numbers. For that, the whole thing needs to be filtered. So here, what we do is we apply the filters like this. If you right click it, you can say apply filter. I'll show you all this creation, but just to tell you. So, and then field selection. Field selection is you select field means here the column. The column means here it is only attributes here, because in the attribute view we only have attributes, we don't have numbers. So attribute selection happens based on your business requirement. You only select few of them. And then you define the key column. At least one key you should be having inside your attribute, because when you bring this attribute dimension to use it in your multi-dimensional modeling, you require a key, right? When you want to associate, you require a key field. Only then you can actually connect to that to bring the primary key, foreign key aspect. Let's say here I have a customer master data, I have a customer ID. So with the help of customer ID from the transaction table, I'll be able to link these two. That is something that you have to always bring the key for the purpose of getting attachment with the other modeling artifacts that you may in the future. For that purpose, even though your business requirement does not talk about this, you have to bring this, include this key while you create it. Yeah, exactly. So the other fields are based on the business requirement, but the key field is for you to deal with. That's what he's saying. And then we actually do the calculated column hierarchy creation. Yes, there's something called the calculated column, which is what? This one. So it is not necessary that we just copy and paste the columns from the master data table. Sometimes, like I said, you might want to conduct some arithmetic operations on a couple of columns to arrive to one column. One example could be you want to make one column as a full name, but you have two columns as first name and the last name. And then another example could be you have a salary and then a monthly based salary in one column, but you want to give it like a annual salary column. So you have to work on that. You have to calculate something out of from the existing column with some formula or something. So that thing also will be into the output. So we'll be seeing that thing also. And hierarchies is something that I'll show you. While you create it, I'll show you. So when I create it, so just remember that hierarchies, also we have it. We have to talk about a little bit about hierarchies. Hierarchies, two types. I'll be talking to you about hierarchies in the slide. So, and then you just save and then activate. In our process, creation, saving, activation, and then using. In that, saving is up to creation is over until now, until here, and then save it. After, and then activate it. After activation, the actual view is going to be created in your repository. So I can show you how it is created. And after data preview is something that you want to check the empty container. So whether it is working or not, whether the connections are good, whether it is going to the database table and then picking up the data or not. Am I seeing the data or not? That is something that the data preview is just for you in the development box. But in the production box, you can only use it in order to see that data preview, isn't it? There's nothing called data preview in the production box. You can just use it. When you use it, if you are able to get the data, obviously it is working. So that is it for the attribute view. We just have to get into the HANA Studio and work on this. So I guess I'll be moving into, before I work on this, I'll see if I have to talk about any HANA aspects, because probably you need also tool access to actually, go into this. Probably we can go tomorrow, creation of this activity list. Is that okay for you? Because today is already time is up.
So I will not be there for class tomorrow. I'm gonna send an email. I called Vishal and I already told him to record that session for me. And I will send him an email also as a reminder to record the session for me, because I requested him to for the previous recording of previous sessions also, but I didn't get any. But because I'm not gonna be there tomorrow, so I will need the recording for tomorrow for sure. So I'm gonna send him an email also, and but you can continue with the session, and I'll try to get the recording.
Yeah, and then you can also,
Hello,
you
sir.
can also, please, sir, yeah.
Sir, I have one proposal. So the thing is, can we have a 2.5 hour class on alternate days instead of continuous? Because along with the job, it's very hard to get the self-reading status.
No, actually, alternative days only, sir. In the beginning, I just put like that for few classes. I also wanted alternative days.
Sure.
I am not able to manage continuously also. We are going for alternative days only, sir.
Okay, sir. And sir, please rectify the issue related to the server, because without the practical experience, things does not motivate.
Correct. I agree, sir. Anyway, we need this right now. It is now time for us to create, get into the tool and do it. Until now, we have seen what it is, and then we have to see how it is.
Yes, at least we should get a. I mean, I have never seen that server. I mean, when you do it, when you connect it to your computer, then only we can see it. I mean, otherwise we don't even know what we can do exactly in there. But if we have the access, we can do some R&D on that. We can just log in there and see what tools are available there. So, but I'm gonna send them an email, and Kamran, or you also please send them an email so that they sent me the link, but that link is not working. So
yeah, I have already sent the email as well as the Skype message.
okay, so I'm gonna send them an email too and see what. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Varna. Thank you, Kamran.
Sir, can I call you after 1 hour?